Okay, here I am from Dusable Harbor again, doing a very important topic, the simple past tense of verbs, or the narrative past. When I was at school, it was referred to as the narrative past. It's, for most verbs, it's not used in conversation, but it's used in literature. Anytime somebody's narrating a story, if you're reading a book, it's going to be narrated in the past tense, in the simple past tense, and used in newspapers and magazines. The conversational past tense is what's used, or the present perfect tense is what's used in conversation. Now, of course, you might expect, simple past tense, there are regular and irregular verbs, and so there are regular and irregular forms. First thing I want to say about the simple past tense, like all other verbs in German, all other situations, the verb is used, is a second element position. Unless it's a question word, it's without a question word, or it's first word, it's first element, it's the second element position, just like in the present tense. If I say, for example, ich gehe nach Hause, I'm going home, if I made it past, it'd be ich ging nach Hause, I'm going home. Just make it past tense. Ich spiele tennis, I play tennis, I make that past. Ich spielte tennis, second element position. So first of all, let's take a look and see. And I want to say this. Sometimes some people might occasionally use a past tense verb in conversation. Except for the verb werden, maybe hatte, sein and hatte, that's just never used. And when narrate, you don't see the second person, the do or the ihr form, is the one spoken to in the narrative past very often. Because when you're telling a story, you're telling something that happened to you or to somebody else. So it's first person, whether it's singular or plural, or third person. You don't tell somebody what happened to them. All right? So you don't see that too often. So what you do for a regular verb in the past tense is you go to the stem, which means you go to the infinitive and drop the en, and you add your past tense endings, which are, I'm about to show you, te, test, te, ten, tet, and ten. So spielen is a perfectly regular verb. The past tense is ich spielte. The do form is du spieltest. Now I have that in parentheses because you don't see it too often. Then the third person singular, es spielte. Wir spielten, ihr spieltet, sie spielten. Okay, that's the simple past tense of a regular verb. An irregular verb just has to be memorized. You have to memorize the form, the stem of a verb with an irregular past tense. Now, it's possible for a verb to be regular in the present tense and irregular in the past. We have that in English all the time. I go, you go, he goes, but I went. Where did that come from? Okay? And in German, the endings are nothing. You have to memorize the stem, memorize the form, and then you have to add your endings. And the endings are in the ich form, there is no ending. The do form, it's st, but you almost never see it in the do form. Third person singular, no ending. And then en, although also that t would be s. So let's take, for example, the verb sehen. That's irregular in the present tense also. Sehen. The past tense is sah. So what do you get? Ich sah, du sahst, sie es sah, wir sahen, ihr saht, sie sahen. Now, I have the do form and the ihr form in parentheses, just to remind you that, man, you can go a long time without ever seeing or hearing those forms. Ich sehe, du siehst, sieht. I'm sorry, I'm in the present tense, now I'm in the past. Ich sah, du sahst, sah, wir sahen, ihr saht, sie sahen. I was distracted by the seagulls. You have to be able to hear them. Okay? So, probably the most important verb in the past tense is the verb sein. One, because it's probably the most important verb anyway, but also because in the past tense, the narrative past, unlike most verbs, people frequently use the verb to be in the past in conversation instead of the conversational past. So if I wanted to say I was sick, in German you would say, okay, I am sick, ich bin krank. And then in conversational past or present perfect tense, it'd be ich bin krank gewesen, which many people would say. But it would not be at all unusual for someone to say ich war krank. So here are the forms of sein. Now it's war. That's it. And now you just employ the same endings you would for any other irregular verb. No ending, ich war. St, no ending, war. En. So you get ich war, du warst, war. Wir waren, ihr wart, sie waren. Okay? Now, so let's just look at a few of these in sentences. First, regular verbs. Machen, sagen, antworten. Those are regular verbs, and I picked antworten for a very specific purpose, and I'll show it to you. So, we did that yesterday. Das machten wir gestern. Das machten wir gestern. Machen, go to the root, mach, add your past tense regular verb endings for wir, ten. Das machten wir gestern. Das sagte ich doch. I said that. Come on, I said that. Das sagte ich doch. You go to sagen, drop the en, add your past tense ending for the ich form, it's te. Das sagte ich doch. Man, that's what I said. Okay, das sagte ich doch. And then I picked antworten because when you drop the en, your stem ends in t. And just like in the present tense, you have to add an e before you add some endings to make it before, and because your ending starts with a t, te, and you have to add an e before adding a t. Remember, like finden, findet, you put on that e before you add that t. You do the same thing in the past tense. So you have antwortete nicht. He didn't answer. Antwortete nicht. So if, when you drop the infinitive ending, en, you're left with a stem that ends in t or d, before you add your past tense endings, you add an e. Antwortete. So let's look at a couple of sentences, and then that'll be it. Wo wart ihr? Where were you guys? Remember, with the verb sein, you will sometimes use the narrative past or the simple past in conversation. Not sometimes, frequently in conversation. So it wouldn't be unusual to say, wo wart ihr? Where were you guys? Ich las ein Buch. I read a book. Remember, it's irregular, so there's no ending in the past tense in the ich form. Ich las ein Buch. Ich aß den Fisch. I ate the fish. Essen is also irregular. Essen, aß, gegessen. So the ich form gets no ending. Ich aß den Fisch. Ich kam gestern. I came yesterday. I'm sorry, not ich, The form gets no ending for strong or irregular verbs. No ending, st, no ending, and then plural enten. So kam gestern. He came yesterday. And then finally, another irregular form. Wir gingen nach Hause. We went home. That's the verb gehen. Gehen, ging, gegangen. Stem, the past tense stem form is ging. To that you add your en ending because wir is the subject. Wir gingen nach Hause. We went home. So that's the last of our presentations from the harbor here. The narrative past of regular and irregular verbs.